All right. I'm going to give it a couple seconds for people to come in. I know that the little go-to ladies instructions make it so you can't hear me anyway for the first few seconds. So I just kind of blabber for a minute. All right. Oh, hi, Clement. I haven't seen your name in a little bit. Names I don't know. I love it. Cool. Okay, let's get started. It is 7:31. Welcome to the Lighting Design Lab's presentation of heat pump water heaters from installation to business success. I am Katie at the Lighting Design Lab. We're the education group for Seattle City Light, which is the Seattle area's municipal electrical utility. Let me advance my slide here and let you guys know some names I don't know. So if you haven't had a webinar with us before, you are all on mute the whole time just to make things go smoothly. But find that little question icon in your menu. Click on that, it'll bring up a panel. You can type in questions at any time for our presenters. They're going to save all the questions for the end so we can get through all the information, but you will answer you by at the end. This is also being recorded, so if you need to step away or revisit information or share with your colleagues, this will be available on our website, the Lighting Design Lab's website, within about a week. But Energy Solutions, who is really running the webinar, will send it in an email to our attendees as well. There's a survey after class that pops up in your browser. We really appreciate any feedback that you give us. Take that time, that's so nice. And there's a little react button down at the bottom if you want to clap for our presenters or laugh or hit the love. Since we can't see you and we have you on mute, it's kind of nice to do that sometimes. So people feel like they actually are talking to an audience. Not required, but it's nice sometimes. And just want to make you aware of the next event that the lab is presenting. Snohomish County PUD, our fellow utility up north, they're going to come talk about the microgrid that they have in Arlington. They've had it running about 5 years, I think. So they're going to give us some lessons learned there on February 10th. That should be pretty interesting. And for trade allies in our area, there's office hours available where you can make an appointment and talk to our staff if you want to get feedback on applications, talk through a project, get updates. Just have the ear of one of our energy management analysts. Sign up for those. And that is all I have. Lindsay and Julia, are you ready for the presentation? Lindsay from Energy Solutions, who is our midstream partner, is going to take over now. And I thank everybody for being here. I'm going to go away in the background. Remember to type your questions in the questions bar.
All right. Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Julia's going to get our slides up. Welcome to today's training, the heat pump water heaters, installation capabilities, and business growth opportunities. And thank you, Katie, for walking us through all of the house rules. Just a quick reminder, Julia Van Dyne and Megan Kramer are joining me today from Energy Solutions and will be monitoring the questions box. So if there's anything that comes up as we go, feel free to drop your question there. Just click the question mark and next to the chat, and they'll be gathering the questions for our question and answer session at the end. All right, with that, let's get started. We are really happy to see all of you here today and excited to bring this heat pump water heater training. Our goal is simple. We want you to leave today with new knowledge, practical tools, and resources to help you grow your heat pump water heater business. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Lindsay Ozier. I'm a senior trade ally with Energy Solutions. We manage the Seattle City Light HVAC Plus midstream program on behalf of Seattle City Light. And I work closely with our program managers, Julia Van Dyne and Megan Kramer, to make sure that the needs of our utility partners and the market are aligned and met effectively. I've been in this industry for over 10 years, and in my role, I support program participants by helping create awareness, providing guidance, and making sure your experience with the program is smooth and beneficial as possible. So before we dive in, I also want to take a moment to thank everyone who contributed their time and expertise to make today's training possible. So here's what we have lined up for you today. I'll kick things off with an overview of the HVAC and water heating rebate offerings, including qualifications and a new limited time offer. Then Greg Holliday will walk us through a brief history of heat pump water heaters. We'll move into the manufacturer product training, where 5 manufacturers will each have about 15 minutes to share their heat pump water heater line. After that, I'll come back to share a few details on upcoming City Light and Hot Water Solutions marketing campaigns. And then finally, we'll hear from Lene Badino from Seattle City Light, who will highlight the additional rebate opportunities and upcoming events. So lots of great content ahead. Let's go ahead and get into it. Today, we'll be hearing from the following manufacturers: Ariston with Anas Habibi, Ecological with Carl Uth, GE Appliances with Alexa Ballard, Eco2 with John Miles, and Renai from Randy Weller and Chris Henriks. And this is just the beginning. We are excited to offer both virtual and in-person trainings in partnership with Hot Water Solutions. So keep an eye out for upcoming opportunities at your local distributors. And now we can move into an overview of the Seattle City Light HVAC Plus Midstream program and what makes it such a value opportunity for your business. All right, so let's start by taking a closer look at the Seattle City Light HVAC Plus Midstream program itself. We'll walk through who qualifies, why these rebates exist, and how they're helping support both market growth and long-term reliability. So the Seattle City Light HVAC Plus Midstream program is offered through Seattle City Light. And to qualify, the installation site must have an electric meter served by Seattle City Light. The map on this slide shows the eligible service territory, and a simple way to confirm eligibility is to ask your customer which utility serves your address. You can also use our zip code lookup tool on the program website to double check. Why do your utilities offer rebates in the first place? One of the main goals is to reduce the load on the electrical grid so utilities can continue to provide reliable and affordable energy, especially as more homes and buildings are added over time. And it may sound counterintuitive since utilities sell energy, but the most cost-effective way to ensure reliability is through efficiency, not expansion. So simply put, it's far less expensive to help customers use less energy than to build new power plants or transmission lines. These efficiency programs are a true win-win. They stabilize the grid, lower customer cost, and support our regional climate goals. So now that we've covered how to determine whether a site qualifies, let's take a look into what equipment qualifies under our HVAC Plus program. And while today's main focus is heat pump water heaters, I also wanted to briefly highlight that the program offers rebates for ECM circulator pumps, residential and commercial air source heat pumps under 5.4 tons, as well as packaged terminal heat pumps. And you can find everything you need to know on our program website. Just scan the QR code on this slide or visit energy-solution.com/PNW-HVAC-WH water heat. So there you'll find a participating distributor list, marketing tools, and rebate tables, qualified product lists, as well as our zip code lookup tool. So the program allows 1 heat pump water heater per residential address, including apartment units. There is no limit for commercial or small commercial installations. Again, customers must have an active City Light electric account, and equipment must meet the efficiency requirements. Participation must occur through a participating distributor. They submit the claim to Energy Solutions and ensures the qualifying sales are processed correctly. So here's a look at the 2026 midstream rebate table for heat pump water heaters. Rebates are listed by building type and project type. The $750 per unit and there is an additional $100 contractor spiff. One important note, sales must have a distributor to contractor invoice date between January 1st and December 31st, 2026 to qualify. And to verify whether a unit qualifies, you can visit the qualified product list on our program website. We do use the NEA tier levels for efficiency requirements, so you can also reference NEA's product list directly on their website. A few key reminders: heat pump water heater rebates are retrofit only, not new construction. Always show your pass-through rebates as a line item on the customer invoice. Equipment larger than 120 gallons or under 6 kW input may qualify for commercial projects, so reach out to us if you think you might have a potential project. And now for something really exciting, we've launched a limited time offer for small businesses. If a heat pump water heater is installed in a small business defined as fewer than 50 employees, it qualifies for a stacked incentive, including the $750 rebate and up to $1,000 in additional incentive not to exceed the project cost. Plus, there's an additional $100 installer spiff. That means that you are able to offer up to $1,750 in rebates to your customer and earn $200 in spiffs per approved heat pump water heater claim. Again, there's no limit for commercial installations as long as the rebate does not exceed the total project cost. This offer was created through the Climate Commitment Act to support small businesses while accelerating adoption of efficient water heating technologies. We are also offering up to $4,800 for a qualifying HVAC system under 5.4 tons for small businesses as well. Be sure to check the website for the small business rebate tables for both heat pump water heaters and heat pumps. Because additional data is required for these projects, make sure you're collecting the right information and remember to always pass the rebate through to the building owner. This offer is designed to help small businesses save money and help you grow your customer base, so win all the way around. Next slide. All right, for data collection, utilities must verify energy savings to regulators, which means we need certain building and project details. With this, we need the installation site, address, including the unit or apartment number, the building type, residential, multifamily, office, retail, project type, whether it is a retrofit or new construction. For HVAC, we need the existing heating type being replaced. And for small business on the heat pump water heater, we also need the existing heating type being replaced. The invoice and sales details include the equipment make and model number or the AHRI number, company name for commercial installations only, the invoice number and invoice date, estimated installation date, the contractor company name, and then we would need the serial number if it is a duplicate model being installed at the same address. For small business claims only, we only require the total project. We also require the total project cost and permitting information and the invoices from the installer to building owner showing the full project cost. Collecting this upfront keeps claims moving smoothly and helps everyone get paid faster. All right, next slide. So now is really a great time to participate. Sales with invoice dates between January 1 and December 31st, 2026 are eligible. We are asking that installers submit claims to distributors within 90 days of purchase. And a few reminders: rebate amounts and qualifications remain valid throughout 2026. The 2025 sales that are remaining to be submitted, they need to be submitted to distributors by February 28th of this year. The program website has all the most up-to-date information. Please visit that for any questions you may have about the program. There's also a FAQ section in there. And to participate, you simply connect with your distributor partner. They'll guide you through the process and help you with any project-specific questions. So there's plenty of time this year, but earlier submissions mean faster rebates and easier processing. Well, we see ourselves as partners in your success. We offer a dedicated hotline to help verify location and equipment eligibility. We also offer educational trainings like this one and support for your distributor branch events and in-person trainings. So let us know if there are any other ways that we can support. We're always looking to be great partners with you. And with that, I'm going to now turn it over to our first guest presenter, Greg Holliday with Bradford White, for a quick heat pump water heater 101.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. As she said, I'm Greg Holliday with Bradford White, and what I'm going to do is a overview of the market, where it started with Energy Star, how we got to where we are today, and give some basic explanation about where we are in the industry. Because you've got lots of manufacturers on here that are eager to tell you a little bit about their product. So we'll get ready to do that. But let me give a little tip of the hat to Energy Star first. Energy Star began back in 1992 by challenging manufacturers of products to build more efficient products that would conserve electricity and be easier to operate in the home. And that goes way back, again, 1992 with the first official move for HVAC products in 1995. So in 1995, the HVAC industry began to build product that used considerably less electricity and caused the homeowners to be able to save more money. That's the number one energy user in the home. But very few people know that water heating was number two. Water heaters were officially rated, are you ready for this? 2009. It was a long pause because manufacturers of water heaters just essentially couldn't figure out how to take energy out of a product that simply heats water. So in 2009, I had the privilege of introducing the very first Energy Star rated heat pump water heater during my 32-year career at GE Appliances. And now I'm working on my 10th year at Bradford White. So Energy Star has continued to promote since 2009, providing resources on the Energy Star website, fact sheets, buying guides, contractor finder, rebate finder, and then forming this council, the ESMAC council, as we refer to it, Energy Star Manufacturers Action Council, where we as manufacturers choose to work together to help elevate the industry and educate folks like you that want to learn. So this is a friendly competition. We get out in the market and hammer that out every day. But when we're together on a call, we're here to tell you about what we make and why we think you should choose us to be able to partner with. So let's talk about the story that you're going to need to learn how to tell. It all begins with remembering some key facts that I want to make sure you write down or get in your head or get this presentation so that you can remember it. Heat pump water heaters will replace all standard electric tanks starting in May of 2029. That's it. That means every manufacturer on this call stops producing standard electric water heaters that are above 35 gallons, and heat pump water heaters that we manufacture will replace those. There will be no more standard electric water heaters. So it's not a matter of if you're going to participate with heat pump water heaters, it's when. Do you get good at it now in the next 3 years? And then you're ready to roll automatically when this becomes a standard in the industry. And remember, that's 50% of American homes. Fact number two is that heat pump water heaters provide the same volume, the same recovery as standard electric tanks. These are electric water heaters. The exception to that would be 120 volt models, which are probably not used in your market anyway. 120 volt models don't have a heating element that can contribute enough to the tank to keep the same volume and the same recovery. Fact number three, heat pump water heaters can deliver over $4 in hot water for every $1 spent. That's because they're above 100% efficient. $4 in hot water for every $1 you spend is significant. That means, fact number four, that heat pump water heaters pay for themselves through energy savings. No other form of water heating has ever done that or can ever do that because all other water heaters are less than 100% efficient. Fact number five, the energy guide is the proof of that. If you show the homeowner the pictures of the energy guide on the new water heater you're going to put in, and then let them see the energy guide on the water heater you're going to take out, there's going to be about a $300 to $400 difference in operating costs. And the last fact is that all of these products have a 10-year warranty, which means they're going to last a whole lot longer. So you learning how to tell the story is going to be the biggest part of this, about how they work, why they work, and what every manufacturer has, the proper sizing, the proper use of recirculation pumps. That's going to be the goal of what we do, and then a Q&A time at the end. Now, what you're also going to see is that this is not a substitute for manufacturer installation training. That you still have to do. It's not going to be a plumbing qualified training. You know, we're not contractors, we're not plumbers. We might do this on our own, but we're going to let you be the professionals in the field. We're not going to teach you about electrical hookups on this, because that's not what we do either. My dad taught me the hard way by touching the hot and the neutral wire of what electricity feels like. And also, we're doing this early because this is not going to get you out of doing your full day's worth of work. Now, key things we want you to remember is read the manufacturer's installation instructions that are hanging on the front of the water heater. Now, I know some of you may say, Greg, I've never read those before, but today you will. Read those instructions, because no two manufacturers have the same installation process. Spacing is different, air requirements are different, operation is different. You have to know each manufacturer's product that you're going to install forward and backward to be able to do this right. Read that portion of it. Understand that gas and electric water heaters don't size the same. They're two different charts, two different graphs that you would follow, because gas products can recover much faster. These products also remove condensation to the rate of about 2 quarts of moisture a day. And this is non-acidic water that doesn't have to be treated in any way. It can be dripped outside on the ground. It can go through a floor drain. It can even be tied to the HVAC product that might be sitting close by. And recognize that the energy guides on these are based on 14 cents a kilowatt hour, which is going to be significantly more than what the energy guide is on the current electric water heater you might be taking out. So take that into account, because the kilowatt hours are listed on the current water heater, and it's going to be the same as what they are today, which is going to be about 3,000 more kilowatt hours than a heat pump water heater. So know that when you go into it. Now, key things that we want you to teach the homeowner: show them the user's guide hanging on the front, because it's written for the homeowner. You're going to learn everything you need to know just by reading it about the proper installation and the operation, which you will need to do to teach that to the homeowner. We want you to demonstrate how to change the operating mode and the temperature, because this is the first water heater that homeowner is ever going to have where they can actually do that on an electronic control. Typical water heaters just have a dial on them, or you have to take the cover off on an electric water heater and turn a screw that says hot and hotter. That's it. No temperatures, hot and hotter. Heat pump water heaters allow 1 degree temperature changes from 100 to 140 degrees. That means the homeowner is going to change it from the factory setting of 120 or 25 where we set it, because more than likely the tank in their house is set to a higher temperature already, because dad always changes it to get more showers, which is why you can change temperature on water heaters. The higher the temperature, the further the water goes. We want you to also be able to explain to them how the sounds are for the water heater. Typical electric water heaters make no noise at all. This water heater is going to have a slight hum to it with a fan operation. All manufacturers' products are less than 50 decibels, which means it's barely noticeable. And since a lot of water heaters in your market are in the garage, they'll never even hear that. And remember, this is not a product that runs all the time. It runs when one thing is happening, and that means that somebody is using hot water and taking a shower. Help them download the manufacturer's app as well, because that is part of this water heater, being able to use the water heater and see the water heater and be able to do it all from the comfort of your home using the phone, even if you're away, changing the operating modes. So the next question is how many heat pumps do you think most homeowners have in their home? How many do you have? Because it's always more than one. When you take into account all of the products that you see on this page, they may have a different trade name, but they are heat pumps. Refrigerators don't make food cold. They make food less warm by extracting heat that's on the inside when you put a hot pot of soup inside, and relocates it outside of the refrigerator cavity under the floor where the condenser coil and a fan is that blows that warm air across your feet on a cold winter's day. And then remind the homeowner, these are extremely reliable products. and ask them again, that refrigerator in the garage with the beer and the soft drinks, how many years old is that and how often has it been serviced? Well, it might be 20, 25, 30 years old and has never been serviced one time. That's what we want the homeowner to be able to see, is that they can trust this product because it is proven and it is very reliable. Now, how do they work? They're real simple, but they do use some electronic technology that wasn't available with the previous water heater they have. Instead of having a crude mechanical thermostat, these have thermistors pressed against the tank that can detect 1 degree temperature changes. So as soon as somebody gets up in the morning and says it's time to take a shower, in order to get hot water out, you have to push cold water into a tank. And when that water begins to leave, the temperature begins to change at the top and or the bottom of the tank because of that cold water mixture. The first line of defense of a hybrid heat pump water heater, and hybrid meaning it has two means of heating the water. The heat pump is first and the heating elements are second. The heat pump comes on and says, I don't know how far this is going to go into the tank, but I'm going to start replacing the heat immediately by turning on the compressor. The condenser and evaporator begins circulating, and as a result of pulling warm air in through the top, transferring that heat to the Freon, and then compressing that, turning it into a gas, then that gas vapor wrapped around the tank itself with a condenser coil that you can see automatically transfers the heat. Now that coil is not in the water, so it doesn't have to be cleaned or descaled. It also is under 2 inches of non-CFC high density foam, which means that it's going to keep that energy blanket pure at about an R19. Now, if Junior gets in the shower and says, gosh, I'm now the third shower, in the first shower, the heat pump used itself and it kept replenishing. Second and third, it says, now I need to add the upper heating element. That's part of an algorithm built into the hybrid mode where all of these products are shipped. If it's a unitized unit, it's a hybrid heat pump water heater, which is what you're seeing. Then it can add the upper heating element with the heat pump, providing exactly the same recovery as the standard electric water heater that it's replacing. So these are pretty bulletproof. They've been in the market now for about 17 years. They work exceptionally well with a long track history. Now let's talk about things you're going to add to them. A properly charged expansion tank is important. You should replace that every time. Those tanks don't last very long. And with closed loop systems now being created by water companies that will actively go out to the meter in front of the house and put a one-way check valve in that says water can go into the home, but it cannot come back out. You took an open loop system and turned it into a closed loop system, which means if you don't have a good expansion tank that is properly charged to match the pressure in the home, yeah, that means you've got to check the water pressure. And if it's 50 PSI, you have to put enough air behind the bladder on that tank to make sure that it's 50 PSI so that when the water heats and expands, it presses out. And when it cools down, it goes back into the pipe. So you do that before you leave and make sure that that's properly charged. Mixing valves are used so that you can jack up the temperature on a heat pump water heater or any water heater for that part above a scalding temperature. So you may want to put a mixing valve on. So now you can check that water heater in at 140 degrees and get even more showers and more power out of it to be able to provide the hot water that they need. If you use a recirculation pump, every manufacturer will require it be a demand only recirculation pump. That means it can't be something set to go on and stay on all day and all night. You could use a limited scheduling system with a morning and maybe a mid-afternoon or an evening, but in general, we want this to be a demand system so that the heat pump doesn't run all the time, which is what will happen if it's continually recirculating tepid water back. ACT, this company ACT out of California, makes this product in America, and this is one that I have tested as a manufacturer and absolutely approved because these guys have been in business for over 20 years and they've got product out there that's still that way. You can actually get Bluetooth buttons with these, so you don't even have to wire anything, and you can make the junction connection under the sink in the furthest bathroom. My wife thanks me every week because she doesn't have to stand there and now wait for hot water to show up in the bathroom. Now we got some terminology we want to make sure you understand. CTA 2045, that refers to an adapter jack that is on the front of every one of these water heaters except the split system. And on the front of it, it's going to have a cover over it because there aren't any active utilities that are using CTA 2045. But if they should decide to, then this technology is already built in, and the utility would be providing a device that would plug into that could use the Wi-Fi in your house to actually send signals with the homeowner's permission to be able to change the way the water heater operates. JA13 commands are part of this as well. These are typically used for time of use schedules and demand response. They also use the Wi-Fi. Every one of these water heaters can be programmed with a schedule so that if there is a time of day that the cost of operation goes up, that the water heater will respond by either turning off or going into heat pump only mode, depending on what the homeowner wants as well, to make sure that they have adequate hot water and that the homeowner is able to save money. All of these do have an app where you're going to be able to download that and show the homeowner how to do that so that they can actively operate the water heater from their phone itself. Terminology, UEF, Uniform Energy Factor. This is how water heaters are measured for efficiency. Every water heater is tested under the same conditions where it's in a room with 68-degree ambient temperature, 50% humidity, 57-degree water circulating through, simulating periodic draws like it would be used in the home. And Energy Star does this testing to be able to verify that the product actually works the way that it's supposed to, and then puts a number on the water heater. What you will notice is that all other forms of water heating, the UEF starts with a decimal point. That means it's less than 100% efficient. So a heat pump water heater is going to have a whole number, and it might be 4.20. That means you're getting $4.20 in hot water for every $1 you spend to heat water. Look at that. Make sure you explain that to the homeowner, because that's part of the payback story of a heat pump water heater. There's different abbreviations for these: HPWHs, heat pump water heaters, hybrid electric. It's all talking about the same thing, but there are two styles of these. There's a unitized 240 volt that uses that same 30 amp service that is in the home with an electric water heater today. Those are the workhorse of the industry, where you take one out, you put one in, same volume, same recovery, same quality, but 3,000 less kilowatt hours used. They also come in 120 volt models, which means you're going to see a power cord hanging on the front of the water heater. And these would be products that do not have a significant heating element to be able to recover. And then finally, you would see split systems, as you see on this page on the right side. You're going to hear about a couple of those today in presentations. You're going to hear a little bit maybe about the 120 volt, again, identifiable with the power cord. Those were designed primarily for California, where in some houses they don't have 200 amps. They've got 100 amps and it's already maxed out. This was a way of getting around that by using less wattage on the compressor, only about 500 watts to be able to heat water. The difference is it takes much longer for it to heat. And then on the left, you're going to see the unitized models that are 240 volt. Those, again, the workhorses of the industry that have got a long history in the market. These are some commercial examples that are out there that many manufacturers carry. You can see these right here, where split systems can be banked together, where you can use a unitized unit like this A.O. Smith in the middle, or this large unit on the right. That's one of mine. That particular one will handle about 300 apartments and would be outside. Then you've also got one more that's in here that Ream shows that does similar work with that, where you have tanks inside and an outdoor unit to be able to make the air exchanges. Where can you put these? You can put them in basements. Basements are unconditioned spaces in a lot of capacity, and that means that 8 feet underground, what's making that basement the temperature it is free heat from the earth, and you can use that. Yes, a heat pump water heater will also have a slight cooling effect, about 3 to 5 degrees in a 700 cubic foot space. Not enough that of all the regulations that NEA chose to implement on these, that they required venting. They even wrote a big paper about that, how venting is not necessary. Putting them in garages also works, provided it's a non-freezing space that stays relatively above 35 degrees so that the water heater can make heat exchanges, recognizing heat exchange is going to be better in the summertime than it might be in the winter. You can put them in the house anywhere you want. In a closet, even with a top to bottom louvered door, venting is rarely used, even though all of these will come with venting capability, and all manufacturers are below 50 decibels in sound, which puts them in the same line as dishwashers, which nobody pays attention to either. Properly sizing the tanks is critical, making sure that you don't just look at what's in the house and then say, well, I can put this in. You can't make a gas conversion on this and use a 40 or a 50-gallon gas and then a 40 or a 50-gallon electric water heater of any kind. You got to properly size it, and manufacturers will help you to be able to do that. Go to the website. You can also use the national code for this. It's the same thing, electric heat pump water heater size, or you can go to a manufacturer's site and you can put in how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms do I have? Do I have a garden tub? Do I have multiple spray heads in the shower? And a report like this could be generated even as detailed as to tell you how much hot water it's estimated would be used under those conditions you provided from the house and what percentage of that need will be met. You typically want something that's in the 120s, so bigger is always going to be better. If you could put an 80-gallon tank in, nobody ever complains about having too much hot water. We're down to the last couple of slides here. This is the money shot. Get your phone out, take a picture of that. Above the line, below the line, everybody understands that. Every water heater, gas and electric, even tankless that's ever been used, is less than 100% efficient. As good as those products are, they will not pay for themselves. Only heat pump water heaters can do that. And where is the proof for this? It's in the energy guide. Use that. Manufacturers will provide you with this information because you're the salesman in the house. This is not hard to sell. It's, do you want to give the money to the power company at $494, or do you want to put, $300 to $400 in your pocket every year with a heat pump water heater? Because the choice is yours for right now, but in 3 years there will be no choice. And the whole goal of us doing this is to help get you guys heat pumped up. Now, you're going to get to hear from several manufacturers that are on this call. We're going to start with Ariston. Jump away, Anas, you're on.
Hello, everyone. All right, my name is Anas Habibi. I'm here with Ariston Heat Pump Water here. I'm going to be talking today about the 5th generation of our heat pump water heater. So Ariston is an Italian company that used to make water heaters through Europe for over 75 years now. And it came to the United States and bought HTP and bought American Standard as well, and it's licensed to use those heat pump water heaters. So I'm going to be talking about 2 units, but I'm going to be focusing more about the 5th generation of the hot water, the heat pump. Based on a 5th generation technology up to 4.10 UEF. That means you put $1, you get $4.10, an 88-gallon first hour rate for the 80-gallon unit. And we are rated as 46 dB, decibels. That means you barely can hear it. And if you have no problem with your dishwasher, that means you wouldn't have any problem with this unit. EcoPort certified, that means it's a demand response certified compliance. That means it can work anywhere in Washington State. It's also an Energy Star connected product, and it's certified for JA13 for California. The unit will come with an integrated leak sensor and optional shut-off valve. So we will have the application, it will tell you if the unit or the sensor detects a leak on the unit, and then if you have the shut-off valve, it will stop the water from going inside the unit. We have an application that you can use and control your unit from far away. You don't have to be where the unit is to control it or change any modes that we're going to talk about later. We do have 6 modes, including an iMemory habit learning algorithm and a scheduling mode as well. The unit is a thick, durable steel tank with 2 cathodic protections, and of course 10 years warranty in tanks and parts. This summarizes the difference or what I just said. So like I said, 46 decibels, a dry fire protection is integrated. The refrigerant is a 513A or an R134A. Those dimensions for the 3 or 4 different gallon size that we do have a 40, 50, 65, and 80 gallon tanks. Next. So this table over here shows you the difference between the 4th generation that we did have before and then the 5th generation on the bottom. Whatever you see, the T is the 5th generation, and then the other one is the 4th generation. So Ariston hybrid heat pump water heaters are only sold through wholesale channels, where you're not gonna find us in a big box stores. And those numbers that we do have over here, we have fully tested by the third-party facilities for the uniform energy factor, the first hour ratings, noise ratings, connectivity, and safety. We do have one part list for all our capacities. That means you don't have to have this part for a 40 gallon, this one for a 60 gallons, or the other one for an 80 gallons. One part will fit every one of them. And we don't have to have a license to handle a refrigerant. So if there was something wrong with the refrigerant, we're happy to replace the whole unit. We also require 700 cubic feet for air inlet or air inlet and outlet ducting adapters are available. It's okay, that's fine. The only thing I would like to mention as well is it can be laid down on its back for transport. All you have to do is when you get to the job site, you all have to do is stand it up straight, and then while you work on the other one to remove, you can put it back and install it the way it should be, and that should be fine. We do have an application that will allow you to control your unit from your phone. You don't have to be on the basement, you don't have to be anywhere else, but if you have internet on your phone and you connected your unit to the Wi-Fi, all you have to do is just pull up your phone, do whatever you need, and then you have all control. And this is how you download the AristoNet app and then how you connect the unit to the Wi-Fi. It's as simple as almost every other application when it comes to connecting an appliance to your phone. When it comes to replacing a unit, if you're replacing an electric water heater, all you have to do is you have to make sure that you have that condensate drained somewhere. Why? Because there will be, like Craig said, it will be 2 to 3 quarts of water coming out of the condensate. So you will already have the power, 240 volts, 30 amps. So you don't have to worry about anything else. But if you're replacing a gas unit, you might need an electrician because you will need a 240 volt, 30 amp. The other thing that I would mention is make sure you have the outlet, the drain for the condensate. Now, why would anybody choose a heat pump over an electric water heater? When you look at, like Greg said, Energy Guide, we'll see that a 50-gallon electric water heater will cost you about $500 a year, while a heat pump will only cost you $121. That means in 5-6 years, you're probably saving the whole money that you paid for that unit. So that's what makes a heat pump water heater so efficient more than the electric water heater. Here is the display. It will show you if the Wi-Fi is connected, the Wi-Fi symbol will be steady. And then below it, you will have a shower symbol. And what we mean by a shower symbol, we mean a 12 to 15 minute shower, not 45-minute shower. And below that also, it will tell you how much of the water inside the unit is being heated. It goes with 20% increment. So the first bar will say 20%, and then 40, 60, 80, and then 100. And if you have your temperature set over 120 degrees, the symbol below will show also, it will display. It will tell you that your temperature is above 120 degrees. That means that you will have to have a mixing valve to avoid any scalding. On the side also, you will see the DR symbol. That means it's connected to the demand response. That means the utility is in communication with your heat pump water heater. Next to it, it will tell you HP with the fan next to it, or a resistance symbol. That means which group is working. If it's only heat pump, you only see the HP and the fan next to it. And if it's only the electric elements that is working, you will see that symbol on the bottom. And if both of them are working, you will see both of them are working. Here are the 6 modes that we do have. So out of the box, you will have a comfort mode. The comfort mode will utilize the heat pump first, and then after it gets to a maximum temperature that the heat pump can provide, the electric elements will kick in to make it to the temperature set by the user. And if you have it on green mode, only the heat pump group will work. And we do have also what we call an iMemory mode, which means that it's an algorithm that learns your habit. For example, in this one over here, we see that 2 showers at 7 o'clock in the morning, and somebody washed dishes, and then at 5 afternoon, somebody washed the, let's say, clothes, and then at 9 o'clock, there were 2 showers, and somebody washed their face. The unit will remember this habit, and then it will apply it for the next few weeks. And after 4 weeks, it will make sure that you will have at least 2 showers and I'll say dishwasher at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then at 9 o'clock, you will have also 2 showers and a dishwasher. We do have what we call fast and boost modes. I will start with boost mode. In the 4th generation, you only have to push this button and then you will kick in. So this boost mode is if, for example, somebody needs hot water after using all the unit of the water. So they need to speed up a little bit the heating process. So they need to click this button over here, and then both the electric elements and the heat pump group will kick in to heat the water as fast as possible. So boost is a one-time thing, and fast is a 3-day thing. Let's say somebody's coming over for the long weekend, all you have to do is put it on fast, and then the unit will utilize both the heat pump and, can you back? Yes. The heat pump and the heating elements to heat the water. For the electric mode is just the electric water heater. So we'll just utilize the electric elements to heat the water. The vacation mode is when you have, for example, let's say you're going away for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then you can just put it on vacation mode, and then it will just utilize the minimum energy, but it will keep the water warm enough for not to freeze. Where can you install these units? Greg showed that. Can you go back? Thank you. Greg said that you can put them in garages, basements, attics, closets, as long as you have louver doors or that accessories available for easy installation. So on the left-hand side, you have the 4th generation, where you can see that I'm sorry, that's the 5th generation. So you will have the incoming wires from the left, and then the intake and the outlet will be on top of the unit. So here you will see the intake and the inlet and the outlet. So the outlet, you don't need an adapter. All you have to do is like flex venting and attach it with a zip tie, and it should be all fine. But if you need an adapter for the intake, we do have them available as well, like you see on the left picture. This is the information that if you guys need any more information, you can contact Jim Helton, our new business development sales manager. My name is Anas Habibi. I live here in Massachusetts, and we do have a training center for every unit that we make. Ron Johnson, if you guys need somebody to fly over and train you on any products that we do have. I'll pass it over to the next representative.
Thank you, Anas, for walking us through the different installation options and flexibility of the Ariston heat pump water heater. Next, we'll hear from Carl Uthe with Ecological, who will be sharing about the Omni split system. Take it away, Carl.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. I'm Carl Uthe from Ecological. Sorry about the sun. I'm in a hotel in Chicago. We got to deal with it. Or I got to deal with it. I want to talk to you today about Ecological, and we do have a couple types of units. We have an integrated tower, as you see there on the right. We also have a split system that you see on the left. And what we'll be talking about mostly is the split system. Next slide. Back, please. Thank you. So basically, the split system works kind of like it sounds. We split the heat pump away from the water tank. And so we put the heat pump outside and the water tank goes inside. So essentially you have an electric water heater on the inside of the house and you have a heat pump on the outside of the house. And what does that mean? We've heard a few people already talk about, you need 700 cubic feet of airspace. There's some sound involved, like a dishwasher. There's drainage concerns. And not often, but sometimes there's venting issues. Split systems simply put all of those question marks outside. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. We have 3 models available with the Omni series, and it's a 120 volt, 50 gallon. It's not a plug-in model like Greg was describing. It's a hardwire model, but it's still 120 volts. Then we have a 50 gallon, 240 volt, and an 80 gallon, 240 volt. They all achieve the required specifications and certifications to be in the Northwest in California in the United States. So we crushed Energy Star 5.0. We had advanced communications with Energy Star. We're NEA Tier 4 on the 240 volt models, NEA Tier 3 on the 120 volt. Tech Clean California, all that cool stuff. We have the EcoPort for demand response. And, NEA really sets the bar. Everything, when you hit NEA Tier 4, that means we can do time of use. We can do demand response. We're good in cold climates. So NEA really is kind of the holy grail for efficiency. And Energy Star is the target you shoot for to start with, but then NEA just kind of raises that bar to work on the West Coast. Next slide, please. We are one of the first heat pump water heaters to use R513A. There's a few more in the market, but we started doing that quite a while ago. And we did that because it's a non-flammable refrigerant. It's an A1. And also it has a lower global warming potential score of 573, which California and the federal government are shooting for 750 or lower. I don't know when that'll be in place, but we wanted to target that out of the gate rather than using a typical refrigerant. Our seasonal coefficient of performance is high on the 240 volt models. I think we're one of the highest when it comes to split systems, and only split systems are required to have a seasonal coefficient of performance because it measures them at different temperatures outdoors. And again, that's a NEA specification and testing procedure. So we're happy to say that our 240 volt models, which are what you deal with mostly in this region, have a SCOP of 3.7. So when you're looking at split systems or water heaters in general, make sure you check the SCOP as well as the UEF. Greg did a great job explaining the UEF. It's really a multiplier. So most water heaters are below a 1 UEF, and the Ecological Omni is humming right along at a 4.23, which is extremely high. That means that you're getting 4.23 times the value when you spend $1 on your energy. Again, we have 120 volt, 240 volt systems. Our outdoor heat pump unit works from 5 degrees to 120 degrees on heat pump only. And above that or below that, it reverts to the electric backup elements because we are a hybrid, meaning that in any cold climate, we'll operate. Doesn't matter if it's 100 degrees below zero. Well, we have a lot of problems if we are. But if we're that cold, we'll still work because we have backup elements in the tank. Sound is interesting because we don't have sound on the indoor unit. So you can put that in tight spaces or adjacent to living spaces, and there'll never be that nuisance of a hum in the background, whether it's 35 decibel or whatever it is. We make no sound with our tank, and our sound outside is 49 decibels. And I swear to goodness, it's much quieter than that. When you walk up to it, you can barely tell it's running. But again, we put that outside. Next slide, please. Next. This is just a quick snapshot of some of the, can you back up one? This is a quick snapshot of our spec sheet, which is online. You can get this on our website. We have it for all the units, but it just kind of shows you if you need to, for comparison, if you want to compare it to other brands out there on the energy efficiency. It shows our SCOP, it shows our UEF, it even shows our COP, which coefficient of performance is really a standard used all over the world, just not as much for water heating here in the US. But we have an incredibly high COP, which is exciting. And then if you look at our first hour ratings, we have a different type of first hour rating than some of the other guys. Like our 50 gallon is only a 57 first hour rating, but there's a lot of technical reasons for that and testing. We tested more for efficiency, I think. There's a couple ways you can test for first hour rating, but I'll get to a slide that talks about first hour rating. And Greg earlier alluded to what you can do with first hour rating to increase for high users. Next slide, please. And everybody's been showing their energy guides. I don't think I need to spend a lot of time here, but if you have a high rate, basically you're going to save quite a bit of money. If you look at the two energy guides on the left, that is our, the far left is our 120 volt unit. It costs $95 a year to run. That is super cheap, 681 kWh. The one in the middle is our 240 volt model. Again, one of the most efficient on the market and one of the least operating costs on the market. And if you compare it over to the right, that's actually a very small electric tank. That's a 36 gallon electric tank. We like to highlight mobile home water heating in our marketing. And that shows what a typical mobile home water heater would be. So if you compare us to a 46 gallon or a 50 gallon standard electric water heater, the savings are even greater. Next slide, please. Gas is similar. We still have almost a 70% savings over a gas unit. So it's still money in the homeowner's pocket. Yes, gas is plentiful, gas is cheap, but a lot of these states, and I'm not sure about Washington, are really moving towards electrification. So there's really not a ton of pushback. We're still going to save the homeowner money, even if it's gas. Next slide. On our website is a calculator that's pretty cool. You can put in your electric rate or your therm rate. You can put in your use level, and it will show you a comparison of our Omni unit compared to condensing tankless or electric tank or gas tank. It's a really good tool for you to sell to your customers or show to your customers the difference in the savings that they can achieve. That QR code will take you there, or just on our resources page on our website, that calculator is available. Next page. And why should you sell this, and why switch to heat pumps in general? I think the case has been made that for heat pump water heaters, it's all upside when it comes to energy savings. Yes, they cost a little bit more, but as Greg said, they're going to be the standard in 2029. So now take advantage of the customers, or excuse me, of utility rebates when you can. Get the customers in now They'll appreciate it. It's just much easier to do when there's an incentive. But the main reason is going to be energy efficiency, hands down, and just ease of use. And what we'll do in the next few slides is talk about why a split system is, in my opinion, even easier. Next slide, please. So some of these, I call them problems. The other guys won't call them problems, but some of the concerns with an integrated tower are venting. You know, if you're using a louvered door, you still need to make sure there's 700 cubic feet of free airspace beyond that door. In small places, that could be a challenge. In small places, sound can be a challenge. Now, I'm not saying we're only for small places, because we do have an 80 gallon for a conventional home as well. But there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to take the cooling air effect, the venting concern or condensate concern and noise concern out of the house, and we do that. So essentially, I believe integrated towers deliver incredible efficiency and perform very well, but there's a little sacrifice around them. When split systems, we completely built it around customer comfort, and they don't have these inconveniences at all when you put the heat pump outside. And technically, I like to say that we're the LED of the water heating world. The CFL did a great job, but there was a couple sacrifices back in the day. LED came along and it gave you the exact same light as the incandescent with zero sacrifice. I think that's where split systems are, and we've seen other countries trending there, like Asia and Europe and Australia. They're really moving to split systems, and I think it'll really catch on here in the US as well. There's already there's 4 brands of split systems on the market in the US now, 2 that are a little more prominent, and they're here today, us and Sandon. Next line, please. And this is just a really good example. While I say we're excellent for all homes because we eliminate any concerns or inconveniences, we are the only solution for very small homes. So for a mobile home, for example, you really can't put an integrated tower in a mobile home without some serious sacrifice. If you can imagine looking at that image, sticking an integrated tower in there, first of all, the fit is very difficult because that opening is very small. But the master bedroom's going to hear it. The master bedroom and the kitchen are going to feel the effects of the cooling, which is great in hot climates, but not so great in cooler climates. And then condensate, of course, you can run it right outside, but again, when you use our slimline tank that is designed for mobile homes, it's only 18.5 inches wide in diameter, it fits in there perfectly. It has no noise, no venting issue, no increased HVAC load. It's just designed for it. It's perfect. Next slide. So let's talk about install. Install, people assume, they go, oh my goodness, that's a split system. That's going to take me forever to install. It's going to be much harder. It's like an HVAC device, and it is similar to a ductless mini split. So if you're a company that does both plumbing and HVAC, then you're really going to be at home. But we tried to make it as simple as we could well, not simple, but no special license is needed for plumbers, essentially. So if you're installing an electric water heater, if you're replacing an electric water heater, that part's all the same. Our tank goes in the same spot, wires up the same way with a 240 volt line in your region. So that stuff's already there for electric water heater. When you're doing fuel switching, obviously you're going to have to upgrade and have a dedicated 240 volt circuit. But then after that, some of the differences are, and I have to apologize, I'm on a laptop, so I'm having a hard time reading my own slide here. So what is similar is you're running the electric, you're running the plumbing. Very similar is an integrated heat pump water heater, the pressure relief valve, drain petcock, and the pan, no HVAC tools required. All that stuff is the same as an integrated tower. And some of the things you won't need to do are worry about airflow or venting, and you won't have to worry about condensate drains. That's what's different about us compared to an integrated tower. But then what's really different is after you run the power to the tank, you have to run power out to the heat pump. And you usually do that. You're required by code to have another switch box outside, usually on the wall of the home, so you can throw that and service the heat pump. Then you run the refrigerant lines through the wall. That's really the biggest difference. So you're installing the water heater, then you're installing the heat pump outside. And there's just trade-offs in labor. It's much easier to maneuver these units around because they're much lighter. One person can manipulate the tank. One person can move the heat pump. You don't need two people or a small army to move these, because we all know, and I have one, the integrated tower is quite heavy, and it's difficult to get into position at times. But this makes it a little bit easier on the labor side for moving it around and transporting it. And like Ariston, which I was interested to hear, Ariston's can be laid down and popped up, and then within an hour or so you can run it. That's interesting. Not many heat pump water heaters can do that, but we too can be laid on our side for transport. And because there's no components other than a micro channel inside, you don't have to wait at all. You just put it up and install it. But laying these down for transport is very helpful because we all know how tall they are. Next slide, please. And this takes us to another part of the difference. So yes, we run refrigerant through the wall. We don't run water through the wall. And you'll talk to Sandon and a couple presenters down. That's the big difference between us. Well, there's a few big differences. I mean, and I don't want to talk about his stuff or steal his thunder, but he uses CO2, which is an incredible refrigerant, and he runs water through the wall, where we use we use a hydrofluoral refrigerant, and we run the refrigerant through the wall. So that's a really big difference between us and them. But with us, people have concerns, oh, do I need an EPA license to do this? The good news is no, you never open the refrigerant system. Everything is pre-charged. The tank is pre-charged, the heat pump is pre-charged, and the 16-foot line set that's included is pre-charged. And you just connect it with simple hand tools, and we do ask that you torque it. It's very important you torque the quick connects to the right specification, because over tightening or under tightening with anything in life can lead to leakage. So it's very important you torque these to spec, and you'll never have a problem with them. And the good news is, if you have to service the heat pump for any particular reason, you can put the customer in electric resistance mode until the technician can get there. But then if you have to replace the heat pump, you just simply close the valves, detach the quick connects, put in the new unit, reconnect it. Everything is pre-sealed, or excuse me, pre-charged and resealable. Next slide, please. And this is just a quick look at the quick connect. And the reason why you can do this without HVAC tools is because those heavy duty springs pull the one plunger back on the right and push the other plunger on the left forward, so it seals off the system, losing no refrigerant when you detach them. Next slide, please. Some of the electrical requirements, I know Greg said we're not going to walk you through all that stuff, but it's just important to know the electrical requirements. And of course, as Greg instructed, read the manual. These things do not install like a regular water heater. But some of the things that are similar is this 240 volt system that we have is about the same. It has to be a 30 amp circuit, dedicated 240 volt line. And that's for the 240 volt model. The elements are lighter weight than most heat pump water heaters. We're only 3,600 watt in the upper, 3,600 watt in the lower. Most are about 1,000 more than us. And on heat pump mode, we're only drawing like 3 to 5 amps, very low power draw. But when the elements are needed, it can draw up to 19, maybe 20 amps. So a 30 amp circuit breaker is required. And on the 120 volt models, again, I don't think you'll experience that much in your climate. They're really for climate zones 4B and lower, if you know your climate zones. So if you happen to be in a 4B climate zone, you could get away with 120 volt without a problem. And the difference with this model is it's using a little more amps on heat pump, 5 to 6, because it works a little harder to do its job, being a smaller horsepower engine. But the elements are 1,000 watt in the upper and 1,000 watt in the lower, meaning that, like Greg said, the recovery time isn't as fast. But the good news is it's very efficient, and it's great for smaller homes, and it's really great for warmer climates. Next slide, please. And very important, the TMV valve. This is the thermostatic mixing valve. We include it with every model, and the reason why is because the 120 volt model is factory set at 140 degree tank temperature to reach the performance that we do. And it's required by you while you install the mixing valve with our system, so the water can come out at 125. It's adjustable, as you can see on the picture. The customer can change that temperature if they want manually, or they can also change the tank temperature through the app or on the keypad. So it's interesting. It's very important that you have the mixing valve, so when a customer does bump up that temperature, you don't have a scalding issue. And that's how UL Safety required us to ship that product. And the 240 volt models are a little bit different. Those are tested and we reach our performance stats at a set tank temperature of 125 degrees. And we didn't have to have a mixing valve, but we just included it because we're working in states that are going to do demand response programs and time of use programs where they have load up periods. And I'm not going to bore you guys and gals with what load up is and shifting and all that stuff, but sometimes some programs will ask a water heater to load up, heat up hotter than normal, and then not operate for the next few hours. So that way it gives the customer a tank full of hot water to get through the peak demand. So it's imperative that you have a thermostatic mixing valve in there. Next slide, please. And the thermostatic mixing valve gives us the ability to unlock the superpower of the Omni heat pump water heater. If you take a look at that chart, and let's focus on the green section really quick. If you're installing in a small house, let's use a small house as an example, but there's a lot of people and they're high users. 3 people want to take a shower every morning, and you're afraid you're going to run out of hot water. You can easily take that set temperature from factory that was 122, bump it up to 135. So look at the jump in the first hour rating. So the estimated first hour rating is 57 from the factory. If you increase the tank temperature to 135, it will give you almost a 71 first hour rating, a 71 gallon first hour rating. That is a massive amount out of a 50 gallon tank. And you'll only take a 3.9 hit on your efficiency. So our efficiency will drop from a 4.23 UEF down to a 4.07, which is still leaps and bounds higher than most heat pump water heaters on the market. So we're very impressed with this. And this is more ammo for you to sell to your customers that, yes, this is going to save you a ton of money every year, but it has the flexibility to easily adjust to give you hot water when you need it. Now, there's other simpler functions, things like hitting boost or hitting electric resistance, all kinds of ways to recover faster. But if they consistently have high users in the home, constantly doing dishes, constantly taking showers, you can bump up the set temperature safely because you're using a thermostatic mixing valve. Next slide, please. Some of the accessories that you would need, there's already codes and standards out there for ductless mini splits and how heat pumps have to be mounted outside. You can mount a heat pump on a wall, on a ceiling. You can mount it on a floor, on a pad if you're not in a snowy area, or on a stand, as you see in that picture. And has usually, like, so I'm from New York. When we install them here, they have to be on at least a 12-inch stand to keep them out of the snow. So you'll need things like a wall collar to run the wires through. Just some minor stuff, nothing that's really crazy, nothing that's different than a typical ductless mini split. Next slide, please. We try to make the warranty very easy, and we require that you help the customer register for the warranty. We want to service them properly, and if it's not registered, it's hard to do. So we have the QR code that's on the tank. The QR code's in the manual. That QR code takes you to the interface on the right. Very simple form to fill out for the customer, or they can call us at the phone number below, and we're happy to fill it out for them. And we can use that phone call when they have service concerns or warranty claims as well. Next slide. For training, we're working on a certification program. We'll have that very soon, but for now, there is an install video on our website. There's the install manual on our website. You can call us direct. If you're going to be buying these, we would love to talk to you and run you through a training. That's very important. So like California actually requires that. And we like that idea. We want professionals installing these and knowing how to do it. So please call us if you're interested. We would do the training with you. That number at the bottom is also live support. If you're in the field and you're installing, you have a question or an issue, give us a call. And if we can't help you on level 1, we'll bump you up to level 2 to our HVAC staff and our plumbing staff that are on hand. Next slide. The app, I'm not going to bore you with the app. All of these things are starting to have an app. And we try to make it simple for time of use. If your utility has a time of use schedule, we will get it uploaded. So for example, in California, you say, hey, I'm in California. Then it drills you down to, okay, who's your utility? You hit PG&E. Then it has like 2 or 3 different rate, or not rate schedules, but time of use schedules, and you just select it, boom, it automatically sets it for you. So you go into a peak time, it'll go to the most efficient mode. When it comes out of peak time, it'll go back into hybrid mode or whatever mode you had it in. And we are demand response ready with either an e-radio module or a SkyCentrics module. And you're probably going, what are you talking about? It's a California thing for now, but it is a demand response protocol. So we're future proof and ready if utilities want to deploy it. Next slide, please. And as I said, we do have integrated towers, but there's so many integrated towers to choose from. On these calls, I like to focus on the split system. But our integrated towers are made by Midea, a very prominent, probably the world's largest appliance manufacturer. We rebranded that model. There's a few more models out there on the market that share the exact same platform. I think there are 4 or 5 of them already. And Midea also sells in this same platform. And we have a 50-gallon, 65-gallon, 80-gallon. They perform higher than average. Their UEFs are right up there with some of the best, not quite as good as our Omni, but they also have all the same compliances. JA13, well, actually JA13 is coming soon. Midea is pretty slow on offering that to us, but they are demand response ready, so that's good news. And JA13, which is the time of use setting, should be available by summer. Next slide, please. Distribution. We are very different. We're not tied to traditional plumbing houses, so we look for alternative distribution all the time. Sometimes in parts of the country, we've even partnered with a dealer or a plumber who has become a distributor for the region. So we're really looking at all types of distribution, but we also look at some traditional, like Keller Supply. You can go to Keller Supply and request this. They don't stock it right now, but they'll bring it in if you want it. General Pacific, same thing. Bits Limited in Northern California will ship them in contractor packs to you. And we're constantly dealing with people like Ferguson and all the big guys. We're always in discussions, but it's hard to get the space there when you have, like the big dogs, Rheem and AO and Bradford. They kind of have those channels locked up. You won't find this in Lowe's and Home Depot, but you can contact us direct, and we will definitely get you supplied through a distributor or direct. We'll figure it out. Next slide, please. That's the end of my show. I'm Carl at the top there. The next guy, Scott Wilson, he is our rep in the Pacific Northwest. So if you ever want to reach out to him or me, we can take care of you. We're a small company, but we're very, very responsive, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Carl, for highlighting the wide range of installation capabilities with Ecological Omni Split System. Now we'll hear from Alexa Ballard with GE Appliances, who will be sharing about the GE GeoSpring heat pump water heater with flex capacity. Alexa?
Hi, team. I don't normally get the pleasure of presenting our product. It's usually Dan Capelli and our product team, but I'm here today. Everybody else had conflicts, so I'm happy to be here to present our heat pump water heater with flex capacity. You can go to the next slide. We just like that one because it's really pretty. So this is our 4th generation heat pump water heater from GE Appliances. We did come to the market with the first heat pump product many years ago. We offer this in 40, 50, 65, and 80 gallon capacities. And we do offer this with our Real Max promise, which is real capacity. So we aren't rounding up any of our hot water capacities, and maximum performance. So we do have high wattage burners. Flex capacity, I'll go into more detail on that shortly, but we do offer up to 60% more hot water. And then we do use the Smart HQ app, which is the same app that we use across our appliance portfolio at GE Appliances. We offer this in 120 and 240 volt options. With 15, 25, and 30 amp capabilities. I'll go into more detail on that as well. And then we do offer a wireless leak detect that comes standard on our product with an automatic shutoff valve. We do use a low GWP refrigerant, and our product is fully serviceable, both the heat pump and the plumbing system. Next slide. All right, so this is just an example of the offering that we have. So this is a 50-gallon product. We offer it in 120 volt. The 120 volt can be converted to 240 volt, and you can see there what that does as far as the amperage required and the wattage of the elements. So when that is moved from 120 to 240, which I'll show shortly how to do that, the wattage of the elements automatically increases from 900 to 3600 watts, and the UEF increases from 3.2 to 4.2. And then you can see we offer also a 50-gallon that's standard 240 volt, which requires a 30 amp dedicated breaker and has those maximum performance 5500 watt element, which gives a UEF of 4.5, which is the highest in the market today. And that's with the best recovery rate would be that 240 volt model. You can see the 240 volt on the chart to the right, you get 25 gallons per hour of recovery rate. So very, very proud of that. All right, next slide. All right, so this is our full offering. You can see that we offer the different capacities, 40, 50, 65, and 80. We do offer these in 120 and 240 volt and with and without a mixing valve. The 40-gallon we only offer with a mixing valve just to get that increased first hour rating and recovery rate. But those are the models that we have available. Next slide. All right, so we offer, our product offers flexible and easy installation. The 120 and 240 volt options, as I mentioned, can operate across the 15, 25, and 30 amp breakers. The flex capacity allows you to install like a smaller capacity tank, but still get the capacity of a larger water heater. For example, you can install a 50-gallon heat pump unit and get the capacity of an 80-gallon, or you can install an 80-gallon with flex capacity and get a whopping, I think it's 130-gallon capacity with that flex capacity on extra high. We do offer a variable speed compressor in our units, which allows us to operate efficiently and effectively in cold climates, and there's no ventilation required. I'll go into that as well, the space and clearance and venting kit that we offer. But we do have the remote control setup through that Smart HQ app. Next slide. Next slide, please. All right, so this is how you convert from 120 to 240 volt. It's very simple. You just unscrew the J-box cover on the top of the unit, identify where your power cords are. You can remove those power cords for the power cable that would plug into a plug at your home. Disconnect those from the Wago connectors inside the J-box, and then use those to connect the home wire to the unit and replace the J-box cover. It's that simple. Very easy to convert from 120 to 240 volt, and nothing required more than that to get the wattage of the elements to increase from the 900 to 3600 watts. All right, next slide. All right, so we do have integrated handles and a condensate drain port. So those handles do help with aiding and moving and positioning the unit. Some of these, especially the 65 and 80-gallon, are rather large. And so this helps with that installation when you've got a plumber trying to shift that unit around. And then there is the condensate drain port at the back of the unit, and it will alert the homeowner through the app if there's a clog or a blockage in place with that drain port. All right. Next slide. All right, so space requirements. Our recommended room size is 700 cubic foot. If it's smaller than that, we do require louvered doors. The unit clearances are 7 inches on the front and sides and 8 inches on the top. And we do offer a duct kit. So that addresses inlet and outlet airflow and has a 10-inch opening. All right, next slide. All right, so we do offer 5 operating modes. We have fully heat pump mode. We have the balance, which is the hybrid, which leans more into the heat pump, but does have the backup of the electric resistance heating elements. And we have high demand, which is, leaning more towards the electric elements and less to the heat pump. And then we have a full standard electric mode and vacation mode, which you can set through the app. All right, next slide. All right, so a little bit about our app. We do like to talk about this just because a lot of people already have GE appliances in their home and use this app for those, and this one can be integrated. You just add the heat pump water heater to it, and you can change operating modes, you can set a schedule, you can use it to control your demand response. So if your utility company offers incentives for you to let them control through that CTA 2045 device, you can control that through the app. You can enable the flex capacity, you can monitor your energy usage. We use it a lot here at my house. My kids will both fill up separate bathtubs and have an argument about if there's hot water remaining, so I can easily go in and see how many gallons we have left, and if it's 0, which doesn't happen very often, I can tell them how long it's going to take for it to heat back up and for it to be ready for them. So that's nice. I honestly, if I know they're going to take baths, I just go in, turn it to like that balance or hybrid mode so that the electric elements kick on, and I turn on the flex capacity, and they've got, like, I have a 65 gallon. So we've got like over 100 gallons of hot water for them to use, which is awesome. You can see your energy usage and cost savings, and then you can set up alerts. So we have a sensing anode rod that will tell you once it's 75% depleted, if your air filters need to be replaced or cleaned. Not replaced, you just clean them. So just cleaned. And then, for example, if you have a leak detect, it will notify you. And also if your wireless leak detect sensors are running low on battery, it will even notify you of that. All right, next slide. All right, so flexible capacity. This is a little bit more information about that. It does give up to 60% more hot water. We probably should update this. This is actually just showing one of our flex capacity water heaters, but we do offer this on the heat pump as well. So we probably need to update it to show the 65 and 80 gallon and how they perform. But this does heat the water in the tank up to 160 degrees and then mixes in that cold water. It's all electronically integrated. There's no need for the plumber or homeowner to adjust. They can adjust the setting through the app, and when it's installed, it automatically senses that inlet water and outlet water to make sure that it's within 1 degree of your desired output temperature. Next slide. All right, so this is our wireless leak detect. It does come with this standard, so it comes with 1 puck, and it comes with the water shutoff valve. You can see there at the top of the unit, kind of sitting on the top. You can add an additional 4 pucks to the unit through Bluetooth, and when water is detected, that automatic shutoff valve will engage, and when the water is dried off and there's no more leak detected, the shutoff valve will re-engage all on its own. And you can actually do it through your app as well. All right, next slide. Okay, so we do have the greenest heat pump water heater. We do use the R1234 LiF refrigerant, which is extremely low GWP, and it is completely serviceable. So if something goes wrong with the heat pump system, we're not sending an entire unit to the landfill. It is able to be serviced and repaired instead of replaced. Next slide. All right, so just a little bit about the refrigerant that we're using. It is widely used in the automotive industry and has a GWP of 4, which is the lowest that is used in these products today. It is JA13 certified, and we do qualify for an extra $1,500 kicker on some of the incentives that are being offered today out in the California area. Next slide. Serviceability. So I touched on this a little bit, but we do have, the heat pump system and plumbing system are both fully serviceable. The shroud on the top of the unit can be removed with just 5 screws. And when those are removed, you can use those access ports on the high and low side to service that heat pump system easily. Next slide. All right, so we do have the quietest heat pump water heater available at 41 dBA, so very quiet. I have mine, my garage, I think it was 1 degree here this morning, and it's going and it's still quiet. It's got the variable speed compressor, so it automatically adjusts speed depending on what the ambient air and inlet water temperatures are. And it's working well. I took a long hot shower this morning, and I was very thankful for my water heater, as I'm sure everybody else was as well this morning. All right, next slide. We do offer these videos just to show kind of what their features and benefits are, how to connect to Smart HQ, how to set up your wireless leak detection with that automatic shut-off valve, how to remove the shroud for serviceability, and how to convert from your 120 to 240 volt options. And I think I have one more, just a summary slide. Yeah, so once again, oh, yeah, no, you're good. You can move to the next one. Thank you. So once again, this is our 4th generation heat pump water heater. It is up to 4.7 times more energy efficient than a standard electric water heater. For example, I've got the 65 gallon today. I had an 80 gallon electric water heater that was, I think, 18 years old, and I've seen a dramatic reduction in my energy bills, upwards of $60 per month. And I don't know, I've been watching it. It's been about 6 to 7 months. And I've been trying to see if maybe there's something else. I know weather has a big impact on that as well, but it's been pretty standard, over $50 every month of savings that I'm seeing. Flex capacity, again, up to 60% more hot water on that extra high setting. It has the Smart HQ app capability, the wireless leak detection, the 120 and 240 volt with easy and flexible installation, the 5 operating modes, including vacation. One note on that, you can set that from your app. You can tell it when you're going to return from vacation, and it will automatically have your water heated up and ready to go when you get back from your vacation, which is really nice. It is the quietest heat pump water heater on the system, on the market at 41 dBA, fully serviceable heat pump system with the sensing anode rod, and we do offer a 10-year warranty on all of our models. So thank you all very much for your help and time today.
Thank you, Alexa. We really appreciated hearing about how GE's heat pump water heater has evolved and now has flex capacity and can deliver over 60% more hot water. Hope you're staying warm out there. 1 degree, that's crazy. Next up, we'll hear from John Miles with Eco2, who will be sharing information on the Senko 2 split heat pump water heater system. John?
Great. Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate the opportunity to say good morning to everyone. Hope you're doing well. Worked your way through here. We're going to talk about the Eco2 systems, or more likely it's called Senko 2 because that's the actual brand of the product that we move and have been moving for over 10 years now in the North American heat pump water heater market. And as Greg mentioned earlier, this is truly a split system, so that's why there's a jigsaw puzzle in my initial slide, because we are going to have you guys put together the jigsaw, and there are 4 pieces to the jigsaw. One of those is yourself as a certified and well understanding contractor that can actually do these. So we have performance, efficiency from the system, and then I will mention that this is truly the greenest product there. That's why the big green jigsaw puzzle isn't there. So let's have a look at the next slide that we have. This is the product. So what we're looking at is a heat pump. The heat pump can live outside, and we'll talk about that, garages, etc., etc. It's going to produce the hot water for you. The tanks will be then located either garage or inside, and again, that's all settable. There is no electric element for us. It is truly all heat pump all the time. So you get that saving in terms of the unit ever having to call for an electric element to kick on to maintain the hot water. The capacity of the heat pump is 4.5 kilowatts, which is exactly the same as an electric element. We use, again, very different to everyone else in the marketplace, carbon dioxide to make our hot water. It's a very strange refrigerant. It's mostly used in some freezers and things like that. Some of the Whole Foods and Aldi use them as their freezers to keep your peas or your ice cream nice and cool. But the great thing about CO2 is it is a true natural system or substance, because everyone now can take a nice breathe in and breathe out. You're actually breathing out carbon dioxide. It's what helps all the leaves grow and the lovely plants that all the animals like to eat. So it is the ultimate in being green for these style systems. CA 2045 certified for our system, not the simplistic way of looking at it in terms of an app and all those sort of stuff. We're a little bit more, shall we say, just older style technology for us. And then we can talk about warranties. UEF numbers, same testing as everyone else. Split system, we get up to about 3.8, very standard, very high level efficiencies that we've got on here. And then we can talk a little bit about warranty. But let's go and have a quick look at the next slide, which takes you deeply into the heat pump. So this is, we can call it the beast or the heart of the Sanko 2 system, because this is the actual item that is going to create your hot water. Ambient wise, it doesn't really care about the ambient. We have these things all the way up in Alaska and even further north than that, working to create hot water for us. So -25 is a fairly, cold temperature. I don't think many of you guys, unless you want to go all the way up Mount Rainier, are going to realistically see in the ambience of here. And then should you want to put one in a desert somewhere, it'll quite happily do 114 or higher on there. I will always make you 145 or 150 degree hot water. There is no set points for us on these systems. They make 145, 150 because it is the most efficient position for my system to be able to do that. The speed of the compressor, the energy draw, and things like that. It's kind of like, look at it as driving your truck or your car up a hill, or in the middle of Seattle. The MPG goes way the hell down. If you can get on the freeway and just coast along at 65 or higher, whatever speed you want to be at, your efficiency or your MPG will go up at that point in time. So we see the same thing for these style systems. Then max piping length. So the heat pump can actually live almost 60 odd feet away from the tank, including if you wanted to put it up on a roof, you could do that as long as it's got that 23 feet of maximum elevation inside of that system. And then no ifs, ands, or buts for me, it is always going to be ½ an inch in terms of the piping size, because that's to do with the flow rate of these particular units. You can look at them and think, wow, that's actually quite low, but it's all about that recovery level per hour, as opposed to being like a boiler or a tankless, which can do your 7, 8, 9 gallons a minute, if that's what truly the flow is inside of the house. Power wise, I'm a 208, 230 volt kind of guy, 15 amp breaker. So the breaker size is much smaller because I don't need the electric element. Will it draw 15 amps? No, way off it. Nice warm day, 3 amps. cold day like today, you know, where it's at or above, just above freezing, yeah, about 5 or 6 amps. So that's where you'll see it. Size wise, essentially I could go into the fractions of inches and stuff like that, but it's 3 foot long, 2 foot high, a foot deep. It weighs 110 pounds. Most of the weight's underneath where the Sanko 2 logo is, so I always pick it up at the other end because it only weighs like 10 pounds at that end, so nice and easy. And then I know this lives outside, but it is absolutely inaudible. 37 dB. Again, it's the lowest out of any heat pumps that you'll get on these style systems. You have to stand within a foot of this unit to actually hear it running. So that's the great side of this thing. So that's my heat pump. That's what's creating the hot water for me. We go to the next slide. We'll see what's actually storing that hot water that I'm producing. So I have 3 tanks. Again, strange tank numbers, but it's actually the true volume that we have. The 43 and the 83 gallon tank are stainless steel. That means you get a 15-year warranty on them because they're stainless. They don't need anode rods and things like that. The 119 is a glass lined that we have right now. We'll be bringing out a stainless steel 119 gallon tank. It's taken us 10 years to actually get to that point of doing that, but that's what we're going to be launching here in Q2 of 2026. It'll be nice and slim, and it also only weigh 130 pounds, which is great for that point of view. Because I am creating you 145 degree hot water, you can't put that out to your showers or your faucets. It's going to scald you. So the mixing valve. It's actually a Califfy mixing valve, has a temperature gauge on it, so you can see what temperature it's actually sending out to the to your faucets and your showers on there. That comes as standard with the equipment. It's not pre-installed. You're going to do the installation on that, and then PTR valve, happy, normal sort of stuff on that. So the tank for us, there's no airflow. There's no need for any power whatsoever for it. It just has one small connection to the heat pump that is going to be there in terms of its temperature. So that's really very straightforward for the tanks for us. Very well designed to get the stratification and things like that, but that's what they're there for. So the next slide. Then obviously part of it is about talking to people. You know, it's like me. It doesn't really like talking to people. So we had to create it likes to do its job. It just likes to make its hot water and then kind of hang out for the amount of time that you don't need any hot water. This is the CTA 2045 controller of it, which we actually had to create to then interpret it something signals from the utilities and various things on that to do some time of use operation. It's like, oh, utility prices going up, therefore we need to turn yourself off and things like that. So that's what these do. They add in a couple of extra temperature sensors, top and bottom of the tank, to be able to say, hey, tops of the tank is hot, bottom of the tank's cold. Yeah, we could do some load if the utility is there. There is no app for this. The settings you put on it, and then they'll you'll input those when you install the unit, and then if you wanted to truly do some cloud and Wi-Fi setups, we can do that and set that up for you. So it is there to do what is required, but in terms of its operation, it's just controlling the heat pump as opposed to just letting the temperature sensors of the tank control it. So that's what the RDR does for us. Next slide. So sizing for me, again, what we're looking at is how much hot water do we use in the house. You know whether you can look at the number of kids, what you're using the hot water for, how many gallons per day do you use of hot, whether it's 60, 80, 100, something like that, and then that allows us to work out which size tank you need. The heat pump will always create just over 20 gallons or about 20 gallons of hot water for you per hour. So if we need to make 60 gallons of hot water for you that's going to be delivered at 105 to 120 degrees, that's the great thing of the mixing valve. It reduces the flow of the water out of the tank, so a gallon faucet or a 2-gallon shower head is only going to need, you know, just over 2/3, a little bit less than 3/4 of a gallon of hot water out of the tank per gallon used at the faucet. So a 2-gallon shower head only needs just under 1.5 gallons out of the tank. So it allows the tank to play bigger. It's kind of like giving it a shot of steroids. So that's the whole setup for this. And then what that does is that brings down the amount of hot water we truly need to make on these systems. So it reduces the hour run and obviously utility cost for the Sanko 2 system. So we can look at all of that particular thing on our website, eco2waterheater.com. We actually have a sizing tool for the, where you can put in all the fixtures, or you can just say, hey, everyone uses 20 gallons and stuff like that. So that's the way that this system works. So next slide. And then what we'll see on the next slide is actually what's going to go on with the Sanko 2. It's got 4 connections. So if we look back at that photo of the tank, what you'll have seen is that there's no top and bottom connection or top connections on our tank. Everything's on the side. Cold comes into the bottom of the tank from the home or from the building by the expansion tank, as Greg kind of talked about in his little thing. When it pushes water out of the tank to go through the mixing valve and out, it's going to bring down the temperature of the bottom of the tank. This is called stratification, separation of hot and cold. Then as the temperature sensor that lives as standard inside of the tank sees a temperature just below 113 degrees, and that sounds a strange number, but it's 45 Celsius because this is obviously a Japanese product, so it was developed in the world of where it does metric as opposed to imperial. It turns on the heat pump. Heat pump draws the cold water from the very bottom. It looks at its temperature, 50, 52, something like that. I'm going to make you 145-degree hot water. I send it back to the top of the tank. As the tank again gets heated from the top down, the incoming water temperature to the heat pump increases until it gets to just under 120 degrees. And then it says, hey, tank's hot. I'm good. Time to put my feet up, just like me after this meeting. So that's the operation of the system for us. Next slide, please. So then let's look at some applications of it. Where can you put your heat pump? It can live in the garage. Cools down your garage. Great in the middle of the summer when you want to go work on your car or your bike. Not so great in the middle of the winter, but you can live with it because you're going to zip in out of there anyway once you want to get the car. Tank can live in a closet. It can live in a basement, a crawl space, etc., etc. The 43-gallon tank is only just over 3 foot tall, so it's really easy to do that. Then what we're looking at in here is where the heat pump can then live on the wall, it can live on a pad and things like that on these particular style systems. So you can do a lot of different applications to it. And then next slide, please. These are some commercial applications. Again, as Greg mentioned in his what's a heat pump world, these are some, and what I did is I actually looked at and found some jobs in Tacoma, Portland, and different areas, Bellingham and things like that. They're all up in your area where we've done this commercially, depending on the number of heat pumps and the sizing of the tanks that's required for these particular systems. So we do a lot of multifamily up and around your particular area. So next slide. So installation wise, fairly straightforward. Expansion tank, as we talked about. Recirc, again, we like to see the recirc being controlled. I use the auto hot. Greg uses ACT. Mounting of the heat pump, everything from the heat pump to the tank is going to be 1/2 inch, PEX or copper. On here we'll see that, and then you've got your 2 connections on there plus the mixing valve in there. Some accessories, freeze protection valves, various things like that, what we can bring into these style systems, how to mount the heat pump and all those different things. So that's going to be your tank installation and then your heat pump installations, just all piping. And then the next slide will show us some of the electric side of things that we're going to do on here. So what you can see there is then power wise, just the 208 230 volt to the heat pump. The tank to the heat pump is just going to be 5 volt signal from that temperature sensor in there out to the heat pump. So nice and easy, nothing special in there. And then if you, with the Eco RDR controller that we'll have, we add in an extra 3 wires from that Eco RDR, which is pluggable into 115 volt outlet on these style systems, and then we can work our way from there. So it's a very small amount of additional wiring, not too much in the power, because it's just going to be the heat pump, and away we go from there. So next slide, please. So essentially, that was it. I mean, you know, it's a fairly simple, even for a split style system, to put in. We can happily train you. We've got a local sales rep, Proctor Sales, Nick Holburn. His numbers are up there if you want to take a photo of that as a thing on there, or we're happy to do with my information on this one. You can put that together, and then we can go on from there. In terms of the question regarding the maintenance side of things, maintenance is simply about keeping the heat pump clean. You know, hose it off, just, you know, get any dust or dirt, leaves on the heat pump there. And then the only time that we're really looking at any really difficult is going to be if the water softness or the hardness is over 200 parts per million, and then we look at some descale on our system, which again, very much normal to the tankless marketplace. So that's about it from me. Obviously, throw it back at Lindsay, and then she can take you from there. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, John. It was great to hear about the installation and benefits of a split heat pump water heater system. Now we will hear from Randy and Chris with Renai, who will be sharing about the Renai electric heat pump water heater. Chris and Randy, take it away.
Lindsay, thank you very much. Hope I'm coming in loud and clear. Great meeting today. I'll tell you, it was great to hear from everybody. I think everyone's got good products. There's no two ways about that. And at Renai, one of the things that we have with meetings, we always say, a good meeting ends on time and a great meeting ends early. And since we are the last presenters, I'm going to respect that information and be a little more short and sweet on this. Renai has been around for a lot of years. We started in Japan over 100 years ago. Started with rice cookers and did all sorts of interesting things. But we came into the US in, I'm going to say 1974. I might be a year off on that. And we are located out of Peachtree City, Georgia. So we have a southern flair at times. And we've got local, not local, but we have a couple of different factories as well as distribution through that. Next slide, please. I think one of the things that separates and differentiates us from a lot of the other people here is Chris and myself, we are local to you. I live in Tacoma, he lives in Arlington. We're not going across the country or different time zones. We are in your market and we are employed by Renai. There's not a local rep agency. When there's a question or a thought or a comment, you'll talk to Chris or myself. In addition, we have 4 other employees from Renai that are employed out of the Washington. We have one in Vancouver, so we'll kind of call him Oregon. And the nice thing about that is one of them is what we call a technical manager. And the technical manager actually teaches as well as supports on field issues out in the field that cannot be rectified through normal means. We have a service tech line that's 24/7. It's dedicated to the plumber, the technician. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas Day or today. We'll make that call and that will come back through. All information is logged and viewable. So if somebody did have an issue, I would be able to take a look at that information live in the field so we don't lose a lot in translation. Next slide, please. The details of the unit, you're going to see that everyone has good units out here. We've got 3 basic units, the 50, the 65, and the 80. We have the Energy Star ratings. We have the 5 operational modes. Whisper quiet, I think everyone's got some fairly low decibel levels in regards to that. This is a 240 unit that's going to use 30 amps. I think our first hour of recovery is equal to most, if not above. I think you'll like that. Our warranty is strong. We're working with the 10-year. Next slide, please. One more time, please. I didn't realize that slide had a carryover. There we go. Thank you so much. So in regards to this unit, we do have the Energy Star certification. You'll see we also have the Tier 4. We are compliant with Title 24. We're using the R134A refrigerant type. So I think you'll find that that's common in the industry and works well. Majority of installations at this point tend to be garage and basement, but they can fit into tighter areas. We have the 700 square, just as everyone else does. Next slide, please. We feel like in the industry, there's been some questions that's come out, and I think that we've tried to deal with them. Some we've had to deal with because it was our unit. Others we've heard. So we've tried to come up with, what do we do for excessive noise? What do we do if the unit does not work? And so on after the fact. So we're really trying to be a trusted advisor. We're trying to be there if there's any questions above and beyond the unit itself. There's nothing worse than being out there and not having an answer, not being able to solve something. We want to be able to be that first line to be able to solve anything that may come up. Next slide, please. Again, I feel like this is somewhat redundant because we've seen tearaways of all of the units. As you can see, we're set as everyone else is. So I'm not going to spend any detail on that. Next slide, please. Feel again a little bit of redundancy here. We're comparing tanked versus the hybrid, and again, I think we've walked through this. I don't mean to bounce through this, but I just don't know if there's value in going through it at this moment. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that to the next. There's the look of our unit itself. You can see we have side handles on it. We have legs. We've got a filter to work for easy cleaning. Again, leading in the industry. Next, please. I'm going to jump that screen to Chris. I'll let you run with it from here, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. Thanks, everybody. Just a few things I wanted to touch on when it comes to marketing tools that we've used with this Rhode Island electric heat pump water heater. One is this display controller. As you can see in the top heading there, ultra light. We use this at events, home shows, when we do trainings, whether it be a counter day or an event like here for just PowerPoint purposes. But we also utilize these for teardown trainings, which we've conducted over in Western Washington with this, which has been super helpful. So you can take a look here. This is what would mirror what the homeowner has in their home for manipulating the 5 modes we have, from economy, heat pump, hybrid, e-heater, and vacation mode. Next slide, please. This is a wonderful piece too, as well as when we go to trade shows and events for training. This is the heat pump portion only. As you can see, this is great. It plugs into a 120-volt plug-in. You might see this throughout 2026 as we'll have this unit displayed either in full or for this purpose here to market how the heat pump portion operates. Our product's also made by Medea. You can see here it's very user-friendly and easy to showcase. Once people come up and get to touch the screen and see how user-friendly it is, it kind of helps to build the desire to want to get one of these into their home or into their job site. So next slide, please. This is just another one of those before and afters. I love this one specifically just to show what we heard earlier from previous presenters, the space. We can have this in a shop, a garage, in your utility room. The space is incredible. We do have feet on ours, which is wonderful. I know there's some foam here at the bottom that it's sitting on, but the feet are incredible, and that allows for more airflow, and the tank will last longer. But I always enjoy showing these before and after shots when we're doing presentations. Next slide, please. And then I also wanted to highlight our Q1 rebates. You can see on the screen here, lots of ways to take advantage of those rebates going on until March 31st. Multiple ways for QR codes. You can see the benefits from the various unit sizes from 50 all the way up to 80. So please take advantage of that and share that. Next slide, please. And then lastly, wanted to highlight our distribution partners we've got here. As you can see all the names on the screen, really do a lot of wonderful work. All these folks regularly calling on those guys. So any one of these locations you go to, I know for me up in the northern area that I cover in Western Washington, I've 27 of these locations that I call on, and all of them you'll find are electric heat pump water heater either in their location or they can source it for you. So just wanted to say thank you to them. Next slide, please. And that's all from Renai. Thank you guys for allowing us to be here.
Oh, thank you, Randy and Chris, for sharing about the Renai electric heat pump water heater. That concludes our heat pump water heater manufacturer education session. A big thank you to all of our presenters for sharing your time, your expertise, and your insights with us today. We'll hold questions until after Lene Baudino and I share information on City Light's marketing tools and additional rebate opportunities. Seattle City Light is proud to support your business growth by offering free marketing tools to help promote heat pump water heaters, including promotional postcards, social media graphics, and ready-to-use copy. Also listings on both the Hot Water Solutions Installer Finder and the Energy Installer Finder. These tools will be emailed directly to all who are registered for this training. Our goal is to help you generate demand, build awareness, and make it easier for customers to find you. In addition to City Light's marketing tools, Hot Water Solutions has launched a large-scale regional marketing campaign for heat pump water heaters. Last year alone, this campaign connected thousands of homeowners across the Northwest to levelupmywaterheater.com, driving customers to local contractors, and they're expecting even more engagement this year. So if you are not listed on the Hot Water Solutions Installer Finder, now is a great time to sign up. It's quick and easy. It's a great way to increase your visibility and generate leads. You can sign up using their short online form. It just takes a minute. And if you need help or have questions, you can reach out to Hot Water Solutions directly at info@hotwatersolutions.nw.org. Next, we'll hear from Lene Baudino with Seattle City Light, who will share details on additional rebate opportunities and upcoming Trade Ally office hours. Lene? Lene, are you ready? We might have lost Lene. No worries. I can go ahead and cover this. We have additional rebate opportunities. These are going to be opportunities that are applied to directly through to the utility. They would not be going through a midstream program. Lene looks like she is back on. I will. Lene, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
All right, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to hop on and talk about some of the additional rebates we have available through the city and City Light. The first one is our Oil to Electric Clean Heat program that's offered through the Office of Sustainability and the Environment. That's an additional minimum of $2,000 for our oil to electric heat pump conversions. And you can find more on the website here that I've linked on the slide deck, which will be shared after the presentation today. We also have income qualified incentives, both for homeowners as well as landlords. So renters can also receive incentives in upgrading their systems. Both of those programs are also linked here as well. We also have multifamily retrofit incentives, a wide variety for those as well, not just equipment, but also upgrades. And last but not least, also commercial and industrial programs that are specific to customers who are looking to upgrade any kind of energy efficient equipment whether it be for lighting or HVAC or water heating. So all of the links to those programs where you can find more information, contact information, what qualifies, what doesn't, are linked here in the slide deck and will be shared with you after the presentation. But thank you for joining today.
Thank you, Lene. All right, now we will move into our question and answer session. Megan or Julia, do we have any questions to get us started?
Hi, there are some questions. Some of these have been answered in the Q&A directly, so thanks for that. But I will go through some. We have a few that are specific to certain technologies. So I think what I might do is go through starting at the bottom here. So some do have an answer, and if anyone feels that they want a little more information, not just the answer that was answered in the chat, feel free to chime in. But the ones that do have an answer, I think oh, I see. So other people can't see it. Okay, so the ones that do have an answer, for the interest of time, I'm going to go through the ones that don't have an answer or seem like they're more general questions instead of just the ones that don't have an answer. And then we'll go back through just to ensure that we get the most. So one thing that I think is more general question that doesn't have an answer is what type of maintenance is required for the anode rod? How much does it cost? And is it typically performed by homeowners? So I think just in general, that's a good question. Maintenance, cleaning, I think that did come up in a few of the presentations. That might just be something that each of our presenters could touch on in terms of their specific technologies, you know, filters, that type of thing, if that's something that you want to touch on, again, to clarify for the attendees. Yes, Carl.
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer that. Generally speaking, and it's sad, unfortunately, people do not replace their anode rods. That's just a general reality. But these are not any different. Typically, some manufacturers may have special features like powered anode rods. But GE, you heard, has a sensor on their anode rod, which might promote some proper maintenance. But generally speaking, anode rods are rarely replaced, but they're very similar to electric water heaters. The difference being that electric water heaters use an element that's in the water, and it's a bit more acidic and a bit more toxic to the water, so it will wear the anode rod faster. Heat pump water heaters, on the other hand, have limited use of their electric resistance elements. They really rely on heat pump most of the time, so it's a less violent environment. So a little less wear with heat pump water heaters, but generally speaking, it should always be encouraged. And replacements, honestly, I don't know what the replacements are. They're not very expensive. But if there's ever a question, a water hardness issue or sulfur issue, powered anode rods are incredible. Those, I think, are about $200. Other than that, you know, just encourage that people check and replace them. And it is something that a lot of homeowners can do, but it's also something that you as plumbers should set up a service contract and offer to check it every year.
Great, thank you for that. Does anyone else, Anas?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, we can hear you.
So for the maintenance, I would recommend also checking the air filter, because that air filter needs to be cleaned from time to time. That, I think, the homeowner can do it, especially Ariston air filter. You can just go, it's just one screw. You can just unscrew it and then slide it out, clean it, look at it. If it has any damage, it needs to be replaced. If it's still intact, but it still has some dirt, you know, cut into the holes, that needs to be cleaned and then put it back. For the anode rod, as long as we do have the powered anode rod in function, I think the magnesium anode rod will not need to be replaced anytime soon, but it doesn't mean that check it once a year just to double check that it's still intact. But as long as, like I said, as long as we do have the powered anode rod, it will actually protect the magnesium anode rod. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing to add, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Split systems don't have a filter system you have to worry about. So the sand and an ecological is literally kind of just hosing it off or dusting it off if it appears dirty.
Great. We have another question related to leak detection that did come up with a couple of the presenters. And the question is a little more broad in terms of leak detection. Are certain units more prone to leak detection than others? And is this an issue? Obviously, I think if folks just want to speak a little bit in terms of why heat pumped water heaters might need that leak detection technology a bit more than traditional units, and how that's impactful for this technology.
I'll go again.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it.
They don't leak. They're not prone to leaking any more than any typical water heater. I think you're seeing leak detection because they can do it. These are technologically advanced with a motherboard and a CPU and the ability to communicate through apps. So they add it as an additional safety feature, but they're not any more prone to leaking than anything else.
Thank you.
I mean, I can back Carl up on this because, you know, unlike, there is nothing specific to the tank of a heat pump water heater that will have it starting to leak, whether it's a hybrid or a split, as Carl and I have. You know, yeah, occasionally the pressure relief valve might pop just because of the expansion tank, but that's more driven off the expansion tank on these style systems. So you know, leaking, as I say, there are certain manufacturers that have a leak detection. Most of us do not, because it's really a very rare scenario for it to actually develop a leak in the tank.
Okay, thanks for chiming in. Next question, unless there's any more comments on that. You know, the question of payback comes up frequently, and this is another question that we had regarding payback and how rebates and incentive programs potentially can impact payback periods, and how that conversation evolves.
So I mean, payback is always going to be driven off the amount of domestic hot water you use, and then how you generate that, whether your utility cost, and that's why we look at the time of use operation. When if utility cost moves up and down through there, you can actually recharge the tanks at the lowest cost for your electric on the systems, whereas the price per therm, every gas water heater, even the high-end tankless, as Greg mentioned, the efficiency is less than 1. It means that if a therm of gas costs you $100.50, you're never getting any of that money back. You're always spending that. Whereas if a kilowatt of power costs you, so say 25 cents, you're getting 4 or 5 kilowatts worth of performance in there. So the payback really does come into play. Yes, is there a period of time for it? So I know that a lot of people have the ability to show that in their website. Eco2 water heater website has actually a time of use, or you can actually put in a payback setup based off cost and things like that. So all of us have looked at that, and we are trying to make sure that just like buying a car, you come down, or buying a home, you're at zero very quickly with our style systems in terms of payback.
Great, thank you for that. One other question someone had regarding venting. So folks with the tank systems, and just to touch base, I know folks did touch base on this, but again, just to clarify in terms of the need for, conditioned space and enough space for the heat pumps to function on these tanked units, and the option for venting. If anyone wants to just kind of clarify that a bit, just to answer this person's question for the group, I think it might be helpful.
I can just chime in really quick, because I have an integrated tower also, so we're concerned about venting. So we have the split system integrated tower. You really need to look at each manufacturer's instructions, and the proof is in pudding, as they say. And their instructions are usually 700 cubic feet or 1,000 cubic feet of airspace free, unobstructed by obstacles, even if you use a louver door. So it's just important to say, I know some manufacturers say, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but it affects performance and affects comfort when you don't vent. So it's very important that if you're going to vent, you follow the instructions by the manufacturer. And you have to be concerned in some areas when you do vent that you create condensate in cold climates. So there's a lot of engineering that has to go behind venting. It's not just, hey, do I vent it or not? You really have to determine if the airflow is there. And if the airflow isn't there, is it going to impact the efficiency of the product? Because in a small space, it'll start recycling the same air over and over, and there's no more heat energy, so the performance will suffer. So you definitely have to have the space required by the manufacturer. And look at our manuals, because we explicitly say how much airspace has to be there. I'm not sure if I answered that question precisely, but
yeah, I know. I think you did, and just the venting options. So if there isn't enough airspace, you can vent it to outside using venting kits that come again specific to the unit.
Yeah, the only problem is if you're venting it outside and not into another part of the house.
Right,
If you
into an
start
attic
venting outside, it's 450 CFM or 550 CFM going out, so you're going to suck in untreated air somewhere.
Right.
So you have to consider that.
There's lots of
very rarely will a manufacturer recommend you can vent in and out, because you don't want to suck in cold air either. That's not good. So it's tricky. It's just size it properly for the home.
Yep. Okay.
And use a split system.
Yep. Well, I think there's just a lot of considerations for install, and I think that's what we're getting at is just looking at the different options for your situation. Another topic that came up that I know is a highlight of a lot of folks when they're looking at these systems is recovery rate, recovery time, and I know we touched on that too. And a lot of people have these units and can serve the. We talked a lot about residential. Using sizing appropriately has come up multiple times as well. The different applications and how to install them appropriately, etc. So I want to talk a little bit about recovery rate, and then the other thing that's related to this is commercial applications of these systems. For example, we brought up our small business initiative and trying to look at the application for small businesses and whatnot, and that's come up as a potential challenge. And so just wanting to look at recovery rate, and I know it's been touched on, but specifically to recovery rates, so what are some of the things that we can do to install these units and overcome that potential barrier?
Just a quick word on recovery rate. The biggest challenge is when people look at a gas water heater's recovery rate. It's way faster. And while heat pump water heaters are very comparable to electric water heaters on recovery rate, gas is always the question mark. But what we have found is that the heat pump water heater and electric resistance water heater are adequate for customers' comfort on recovery. Yes, gas can do it faster, but it's doing it so fast nobody needs it that fast. So heat pump water heaters have a couple things that are an advantage. One, you can hit high demand and do a faster recovery if you'd like. It won't meet gas, but it'll meet the customer's comfort. And two, you can also increase your set temperature on your tank to expand, to grow your tank volume. So if it's a 50-gallon tank and you increase the set temperature, now you have a 71-gallon first hour rating, meaning you're not going to run out of water and need the recovery. So there's a lot of benefits based on the household use that you can use hybrid water heaters to tweak and change to meet the customer's needs and not have to do recovery as fast as gas, which is unnecessarily fast, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah,
I think the controls really do allow for, you to, John, please chime in, excuse me.
Yeah, no worries, Megan. The controls do have a part of that, but the other thing is when you look at the light commercial, which you jumped into, the recovery rate of a heat pump, because of the BTU capacity of them, an electric water heater's at 4.5 kilowatts, which is 15,000 BTUs, and I know that because ours is 15,000 BTUs. You look at a gas water heater, and most of them, even residentially, it's 38,000 BTUs. Yeah, you multiply that by 0.6 or 0.7, it's 28,000 BTUs. They're double in terms of the capacity. If you've got the big tank at 100 gallons and 199,000 BTU gas water heater, the recovery rate is very quick. With a heat pump, you're going to be sitting, with or without the electric element at around about 20 gallons, 21, 22 gallons. The warmer the water coming in, the more recovery it does. It's just less delta T between the cold and the hot that it's set for on that particular setup. So the one great thing about the splits, and again the hybrids as well, is it's possible to double up those sort of units to provide you the systems for the light commercial. So if you have 199,000 BTU gas water heater in at 100 gallons, you can look at, okay, I can do a couple of heat pumps to meet that recovery and then go from there. So it does allow, the great thing with heat pump water heaters, they allow you a lot more flexibility than just being one system. It's like, you want a big TV screen, nowadays, it never used to be in the old days where it was only 36-inch TV and that was it. Now you can go up to 80 something or other, right, in the TV, and there's lots of different options in there. So it's like every other technology, it's growing, and you're seeing that setup.
Okay, if anyone felt that their question was not covered, there are quite a few in here. I went through as best I can. So if anyone wants to put their question, reiterate it towards the top, or feels like it wasn't covered, or wants to ensure that it is covered, or wants an additional information or an additional question, please chime in now. And we'd happy to we have a few more minutes to address any more questions. Otherwise, I think that was really helpful responses. So thank you very much for that. Happy to address a couple more questions if there are any. Thank you for everyone for asking these really, really great questions to get to the really important aspects of these pieces of technology. I think these are really fantastic questions, and thank you to everyone for providing this additional information.
And just want to point everybody, although the chat is disabled for the attendees, both Greg and Randy had to leave before the end, so they left their contact information for you in the chat feature, which is next to that question mark feature.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm gonna hop off. Thanks, Lindsay.
All right, thank you, Megan. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, all of our presenters. Wow, this has been an excellent training today. I hope everybody found value. Again, please use us as a resource. Seattle City Light is your partner with rebates. Reach out to us if you have any questions. And with that, I will let you all go. Enjoy the rest of your week.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.